Let's talk about Ryan Kalkbrenner, the 7'1", 270-pound center with the 7'5" wingspan. Kalkbrenner spent all 5 years of his college career, a rarity in the modern college basketball landscape, with Creighton, and he pretty much improved each and every year, culminating with this year where he averaged 19 points a game, 9 rebounds, and 3 blocks. And he did so while shooting 65% from the field, 34% from three on just under 2 attempts, and 68% from the free throw line on just about 4.5 attempts from the free throw line. So Kalkbrenner did all this in 34 and a half minutes. He averaged 1.5 turnovers, and he's an intriguing guy for the modern NBA. And please subscribe to the channel, give this video a like. It really means a lot. And why do I say he's an intriguing guy for the modern NBA? Because he's a 7'1" center who played really exclusively in drop coverage for Creighton. He is a guy who, until last year he started to expand his range a little bit. This year more so, but he was really a back to the basket post scoring guy, and he's effective at that, evidenced by 65% field goal percentage. He's really effective in the pick and roll. Offensively, utilizing his size, he's a smart basketball player. And defensively, they kept him in the drop for a reason. He was effectively a one-man zone for Creighton, and it's going to be a big adjustment for Creighton next season without him. And I think while for a number of years the NBA was shifting away from these types of players, I think we're starting to see that trend revert back. And we're starting to see players like Kalkbrenner find a role. Maybe not a starting role, but a role in the NBA. So I think Kalkbrenner, we've talked a lot about his strengths. He also this year started to develop the ability to put the ball on the floor a little bit. So when he was getting the ball on offense and operating, a dribble handoff situation, there were times where if the opposing big was out too far, they didn't necessarily have great lateral quickness, he would put the ball on the floor and take a couple dribbles and take it to the basket because there would be no one to be able to contest him at the rim. So we talked, some on his strengths. Let's go to some of Kalkbrenner's weaknesses. I would say there's three things that really stick out. Number one, he's not laterally quick, and that's why they kept him in the drop coverage as opposed to switching up coverages, having him come out and meet players at the level on the pick and roll. He's just fine, in the drop coverage, but it does mean that there will be opportunities for NBA guards for pull-up threes, pull-up twos, etc. And so that is going to be something where fit matters for Kalkbrenner, what team he goes to, how they utilize him. And then also physicality. And this is something where I think there's a bit of a caveat because I think the Creighton program as a whole does a really good job at coaching their guys, Coach McDermott, to not foul. And at times, when you're watching Kalkbrenner, I wish he would be more aggressive in contesting the rim, attempt to block more shots. He did block 3 shots a game, just under. It was like 2.7, but I felt like he could have been more aggressive and assertive with his post presence. There are times he lets the opposing player get off a shot, and that's just fine. It's just that I just think he could be more impactful with the way he defends the glass. But I also think it's something that is coached into him, and it fits his style of play in terms of just being able to kind of use his size and give up some buckets for meaning that he could be on the court more often. I think at the next level where he is probably going to be a backup, I think he can utilize those fouls a little bit more. And lastly, I would say his free throw shooting. Career 70% free throw shooter. This year a little bit below that, 68%. The reason I think that's important is even though he got up to 34% from three, just under 2 attempts, it does make me wonder whether he will be able to be a legitimate, um, 3-point shooting big, or whether that's just something that he's going to have to kind of put in his pocket, if you will, and not really showcase at the next level. I think in terms of his range in player comps here, I think he's a second round draft pick, maybe a late first, but more likely a first half of the second round draft kind of guy. And I see him as a comparison to a guy like Luke Cornett, who was more of a stretch big in college, but has developed, especially once he moved to the Celtics, to being a guy who just scored around the basket and protected the rim, utilizing his size. They're similar size players, both smart players. So I think that comp makes a bit of sense. And in terms of team fits, I think there's a number of teams that could use a guy like Kalkbrenner to be your backup center, at least to start. Teams like the Celtics, with Luke Cornett being a free agent this summer, they may, if Cornett gets an offer from somebody, they may, now that would be after the draft, but if they have the inkling that's going to happen, they may take Kalkbrenner as insurance. The Spurs might want a backup for Wembanyama. The Timberwolves, I think, would be a really good fit because they have guards who can really defend. Although, similar situation there, Nickeil Alexander-Walker could be gone after this summer. But regardless, they still have Edwards and McDaniels, and so I think he could be a good backup for Rudy Gobert. Maybe the Sixers needing a backup for Joel Embiid, and lastly, the Oklahoma City Thunder. The rich get richer, and they certainly have the guards to defend the perimeter, allowing Kalkbrenner to be in drop. Not necessarily their cup of tea, but they've shown this year with getting Hartenstein that they like to have flexibility in their lineups, and I think Kalkbrenner would provide more of that. So I'm curious, what do you guys think about Ryan Kalkbrenner? Who do you want to see me profile here at Talking Ball? And I'll see you guys next time.